What's up, guys? It's Eric with the Otter God Pod, and I am filming here on campus of the Holy Trinity Monastery, just south of Tucson here in southern Arizona. And I have something that's very special for you guys, something that's a little bit out of the norm of what we normally do. I was invited last minute by a dear friend of the podcast to come down here on a spiritual retreat. And it couldn't have come at a better time. In the spirit of transparency, and I've talked about it on a couple of episodes prior to this one. I've been dealing a lot with some resentments in my life. I've been dealing a lot with struggling with accepting life on life's terms, and I've keep trying to insert myself into situations where I should be relying on God. And every time that I do that, and I don't get the result that I wanted, it just builds and builds and builds. And that's kind of where I've been over the past couple weeks, is in this cycle of expectations not being met, and then resentment. And so I'm just so blessed that I was able to tag along on this retreat this weekend, last minute, and experience all that they have to offer. We got in last night, and I have to say, just from getting in last night, up to this point, it's about afternoon on Saturday, so about halfway through day 2 here at the retreat. It's been nothing short of amazing. I've already heard 3 different speakers share their experience, strength, and hope as it pertains to their spiritual experience, a spiritual awakening, which is the ultimate goal of this retreat, is to deepen our relationship with our higher powers and listen to others share their experience and how they do so as well. And it's been amazing. I've heard so many different perspectives on everyone's concept of a higher power, and the commonality between all of them is relying on that higher power to get us through situations that we can't do ourselves, right? And it says right in the program that God does for us what we cannot do for ourselves. And that's the cornerstone of what this retreat is all about, is deepening that relationship with God. And it's been just so great being able to sit in and listen to these people's experience, and especially with where I'm at in my own recovery and my own program. It's kind of the reset that I needed to reshift my focus from what does Eric want, what is Eric trying to get out of this world, and realign me with what does God want for me, and what does God want me doing in this world. And it's tough. And for those of people that are in recovery and have substantial time, or even not as substantial time, everybody has that feeling, and they know what I'm talking about, where you get to a point where you start trying to inject yourself into situations because you think that's what's best for you, right? And I've been struggling with a lot with that lately, of, well, I think that I should be doing this because this is what I want to get out of it, and not taking into account or even taking time to sit in prayer and meditation to see what would God want out of this situation. And usually when I do that, 9.9 times out of 10, it doesn't work out for me. And I find myself restless, irritable, and discontented, right? And I know that if I stay in the restlessness, irritability, and discontentment for too long, then I'm actually going to start working towards my next relapse, and I'm not growing in my recovery. And so being able to tag along this weekend and join this group of men on this retreat, it's such a blessing. This morning at 7 a.m., we woke up and we did a group meditation. And a fine gentleman here in one of the groups, he had an assortment of like 10, I'm going to butcher it, Tibetan, but the meditation bowls, the singing bowls. And he did like a 35-minute session of these bowls. And right in the morning, it's very cold where we're at. I think it was like 45, 50 degrees, which for me, a desert dweller, that's pretty cold. So it was a nice brisk morning, and being able to wake up right at sunrise and join these other men and sit in that session and just become still and focus on my breathing and focus on being present here in this moment. That was such a great way to start my day because it opened me up to, what was going to follow, which was, breakfast, and a couple of speakers, right? And now we have a little break in between our most recent speaker and lunch. So I decided I'm going to pop in, do a little filming, and just kind of share with you guys my experience so far. But the main thing that I did want to share was just, like I was saying, I came into this weekend with resentment in my heart. I came into this weekend with what we call in the program, what we call in recovery, a justified resentment, right? Where I feel that I was wronged and I've convinced myself that this situation happened to me. Therefore, I have a right to resent this person, and therefore I have a right to be angry and all of these other negative things towards this person. And what we're taught in recovery is that, resentments are the number one offender for alcoholics and addicts. And a justified resentment is a very dangerous line to walk, because what I'm saying is that how I feel about situations and what my will is in situations is more important than what God's will in that situation would be. Because, as much as I want to act like I was wronged and that I have a right to feel this way, if I sit down in prayer and meditation, what I find is that God is trying to revert me back to love and tolerance. And he wants me to love those who trespass against me, because he forgives me for all of my trespasses. And so that's been the main motif of this weekend, is really trying to settle down those negative thoughts that are in my head and revert back to love and tolerance in my program. And I've, it just off to a great start with that. It's been a great experience being able to fellowship. I know it's about a 50-50 split of 50% of the guys I do know, 50% of guys that I don't know. But it's been a great experience so far. And I wrote down in my notes here, excuse me, of the most recent speaker was sharing, and so much of it resonated with me, and I wrote some notes down. But it's like the main thing that I really want to focus on is, when I get sober, right, and I decide to turn my life and my will over to the care of God as I understand them, what I'm basically saying is that I'm going to accept life on life's terms. And accepting life on life's terms, it doesn't mean that the world's gonna, get any easier, or that bad things are just gonna stop happening to me. In fact, what it means is that all of that external things, none of that's going to change. The world is going to keep letting me down, right? People are, going to keep trespassing against me. Bad things are still going to happen. But what's going to change is my perception of the world, right? And my perception of what's going on around me, right? And when I'm not connected with God, and when over the past 2 weeks, I've been in a state of like, I'm a victim. And when I have that victim mentality, and when I'm convincing myself that I have a right to feel that the way I feel and that this is justified, what I'm doing is I'm just descending down that slippery slope of back into my own self-will, right? And if I'm in my own self-will for too long, then I'll start running riot. It'll start running riot. Self will run riot, and I'll become a tornado in the lives of everybody around me. And I'll start stepping on the toes of my fellows. They'll retaliate against me, and then I'll start resenting them for retaliating. And that's the cycle that will lead me back to that inevitable next drink, right? And so I am just so grateful that I was able to tag along on this retreat and realign myself and get back into the Word, get back into my fellowship, get back into recovery, and remind myself that, nothing ensures immunity towards that next drink more than helping another alcoholic, right? And if I am not on good terms with my higher power, if I'm not living by the spiritual principles laid out in the 12 steps of recovery, then I am defenseless against that next drink, and that it's only a matter of time before that happens. And I set off an entirely new cycle, right? And each time I'm just going to pick up where I left off. So I just couldn't be more happy with being able to tag along this weekend and just get out of the heat, have a change of scenery, get away from the hustle and bustle of life, and going to all of my meetings and doing all of these things and making sure I put out content every day, and like all of this stuff that I put so much importance on in my life, and remind myself that above all of this, above the podcast, above the content, above everything that I do on a daily basis, God needs to be at the forefront of my life. And I know from experience that when I live my life in a way where God's at the forefront of my life, I don't wake up feeling irritable. I don't wake up feeling resentful. I don't wake up with disdain or hatred towards my fellow man. And when I'm in a position to be loving and accepting and tolerant of people's situations, that's when I'm connected with God. That's when my life is aligned with His will for me. And so the first half of this retreat has just been a great kickoff to regaining and getting realigned with my spiritual connection with God. And tonight, I believe we're having a healing ceremony, and we're going to hear a couple more speakers share today, and do some really cool things, and I'm really looking forward to that. But I just wanted to pop in here and kind of just give you guys a little update. There's going to be more footage and whatnot as well of the grounds, and I actually think a little bit later today we're going to be going down to Tombstone, Arizona, and go do some sightseeing with some of the guys. So I'll make sure to get some footage of that. But that's all I got for right now. I'll see you guys a little bit later in the video. What's up, guys? I'm back in my room wrapping up my day. It's Saturday night, our last night here at the retreat, and what an experience that it's been. Since I last spoke with you guys earlier today, heard a couple more speakers throughout the day, and visited Tombstone. As you guys know, I put some footage of that in there. Had a great time with some of the guys, just fellowshipping, checking out Tombstone, which was awesome. But really, the meat and potatoes of the spiritual retreat kind of happened tonight. We heard a gentleman speak after dinner. Actually, let me back up. We did a silent dinner tonight. So when we got back from visiting Tombstone, we had dinner in the dining hall, and they did something that was really cool that I've never experienced before. It was a silent dinner, and so we all were at tables together, but instead of the loud conversations and the laughs and the joking around, we were eating our meals in silence and kind of just being present in that moment without having to speak and whatnot. And that was actually a really cool experience, and it kind of what was awesome that happened right after we got back from our little break of adventuring around. And right after dinner, a gentleman shared tonight for an hour, and listening to his story, just so many things resonated with me regarding exactly what I came down to this retreat for, which was forgiveness, right? Dealing with the resentments that I have in my life, And he just shared so beautifully about forgiveness and moving past things and acknowledging our part in every situation and moving on from that in a healthy way. And it was just it was really really cool that was kind of the keynote speech, keynote speaker of the retreat, and it just hit me right in here with everything that I have going on. And that kind of set up the next part of the night, which I think was probably the most rewarding experience that I had here at the retreat. And it was a healing service. And so after the speaker, after dinner, we all went to the chapel here on the monastery grounds, which it was a beautiful chapel. I put some footage in the montage, but there's a fountain leading up to it, and when you walk in, it's just very beautiful, kind of like southwestern architecture of the chapel. And in there, we had a healing service where we were given an opportunity to leave what we wanted to leave here and not take it with us back to our lives, back and anything that we were carrying with us that we wanted to leave here before leaving tomorrow morning. We were given an opportunity to do that, and I was able to share some stuff and get it off my chest, and really, I feel it's such a different place than where I was when I showed up just yesterday evening. And it's crazy how 24 hours of fellowshipping and talking about spiritual experiences and just changing my location and getting into a different climate and getting away from the hustle and bustle, like I was saying, it's amazing how much that can actually help you. And that's just so true for me. And that it was just amazing. And then after the healing service, we had a little ice cream social, and we were all kind of hanging out. And then it got pretty late for me, so I decided I was just gonna turn it in for the night, come back here, shoot a little update with you guys. And yeah, like I said, I mean, thank you guys so much for watching. I mean, we appreciate the support so much. And I hope this little glimpse into this weekend retreat, helped you guys in some way. And it's been really cool just being able to get transparent with you guys and, get honest about some things that I was going through, and seeing that transformation happen in real time. It's just been an incredible experience for me, and I can definitely say that I'll be coming back next year for sure. And I've met some guys and made some connections today that I truly hope I can continue blossoming and growing. So huge shout out to Paul. Thank you so much for the invitation. This has been the reset that I needed, the reset that I didn't know I needed, but I definitely did. And it's been a very rewarding experience, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's going to be pretty much it for this week. We're leaving tomorrow morning, but we'll be back next week with a super special episode. I'm actually having an amazing guest on that is a published author, does inspirational speaking circuits and things like that. That's going to be joining us this upcoming week, and that's going to be a real treat for all you guys. But I hope you enjoyed this little unorthodox episode that we had today. Thank you guys so much. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys next week.